All right, what is going on, guys? Josh Culler here with Culler Media, back with your content tip of the week. I'm so excited. It is the second week of April, and man, this first quarter is just flying by insanely quick. So been very busy with producing content and have come across a lot of different businesses and business owners, entrepreneurs that are pretty diverse in the business world, right? From real estate investing to actually another media company and just several other businesses. And one thing that I've come to quickly realize is how difficult it is to find some of these businesses on whether it's through email, whether it's on their website or social media or whatever it is. And so I want to address this because I think it's extremely important to understand, especially if you're a small business and you have a lot of competition out there. It's important to understand that you gotta allow your audience and your customers or your potential customers to find you super easily. So I'm gonna give you a few tips. I've got one specific thing that I want to come across with for you today, which is really your top level domain, which is your URL, so your website. So for me, it's cullermedia.com, right? So I want to address that real quick. So that's kind of going to be what the whole synopsis of the video is, but you got to make it easier for your audience, guys. Now, let me just tell you, so a recent study, I don't know who it is because 99.9% of facts are actually made up on the spot, but this is actually something very factual that I've heard, is that nowadays the human attention span is less than a goldfish now, right? So like 5-10 years ago, I believe it was right at a goldfish, and now it's even less than a goldfish. And that's not just millennials. So if you're older and you're listening to this, you're in your 40s, like that's you too, right? So what happens when you send in, when you try to type in a domain for a website that you want to go to because somebody told you about it or whatever, and it took you to the wrong place, or maybe you misspelled it and it just wouldn't load up or whatever it was, and it was hard to find that person. That is the frustration that comes across to customers. The bigger fear for me is potential customers that I don't even know about that can't find me. And that is really scary to me. So if somebody sends an email and they misspell my name, or they misspell the word, or they just don't get it all together because the email was too long, or it had a number in it and they got the number wrong, that's scary to me, because then that person emails me and never hears back from me, and then all of a sudden, hey, what happened? Like, they just don't reply to their emails then. I actually had this happen actually it was a couple months ago. One of my good friends, Gerardo Pineda, was on Instagram, and he was trying to email me, and it was cullermedia@gmail.com, which I actually changed that to my top level domain, which is cullermedia.com. And I went to lunch with him when I was in Atlanta a couple months ago, and he said, yeah, man, I emailed you and I didn't get a response. And so I said, what email do you have? And come to find out, my Instagram email was cullermedia@gmail.com, which is no longer in use. And so I didn't even get the email. So that was a bad thing on my part. So I apologized to him. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go correct this right now, so send me an email. And that's scary. Like, if I didn't have lunch with him that day, I would have never known that he sent me that email, because it didn't come to my inbox, because it was the wrong email address and it was hard for him to find me. So make sure that you understand that this is important. So let's go over a couple of quick things. And so I've got my notes here. I'm actually going to switch over to Zoom in just a second so I can show you guys a platform that I use to find my good domains. So you might be asking, Josh, what does this have to do with content? And here's the bottom line, is that if people can't find your content, then you might as well not even do content in the first place. So if somebody can't find your Facebook page or your Instagram page or your YouTube channel or your podcast because it's too hard to type in and find it, then why do content in the first place? So we're gonna start from the ground level and make sure people can find you and get to that awesome content that you're producing and learning about on these content tips of the week. And so what you guys just definitely have to understand is that people subconsciously value their time. It's hilarious. I have this conversation with people all the time. So if it's hard for them to type in a domain or a website or your name on Facebook or Instagram, and it's got underscores to it and whatnot, then they're just not gonna go through with it, and eventually they're gonna forget about you. They're not even gonna contact you in the first place, and that's scary to me. So make sure that you understand this is important. So the first thing is, your domain should be easy to find. So I come across a lot of domains that are like, they have, let me just give you an example, the letters LLC in it, and I understand that you have an LLC, but you don't have to use that in your branding and in your domain, right? So for me, it's Culler Media. not colormediallc.com. It's colormedia.com. So you got to understand that. And if somebody has to type in a weird domain or it's long, so for me, I have a nonprofit charity, the Hope and Strength Project, which can take like forever to type that out. And then what if you misspell it? And most people are typing from their phones, so the keyboard's a lot closer and your thumb's gonna hit weird things. Like, this is all things you gotta think about. You might think it's minuscule and small and like kind of worthless, but at the end of the day, it does make a huge difference. So you have to think about this. So for me, for somebody to type in the hopeandstrengthproject.com, which I do have that domain, it's going to be hard for them to do. So I had to shorten the domain up, and I did that. So make sure you understand that. And then the other one is your email should be easy to find. Now, most of the time, whatever your domain is what your email address domain should be. So for me, colormedia.com is my email address. So that's also my domain. So that's also my website. So you go to colormedia.com, it's going to lead you to my website. If you email josh@colormedia.com, it's going to take you to my email. So that's extremely important to understand, because if somebody is typing in a Yahoo email, or so for instance, and I hope you forgive me, but I had this conversation with him over the weekend at an event, but John Morey, so my good friend John Morey, he's doing incredible things down in Huntsville, but he's got a Yahoo email that's, John, I don't even remember what it is. It's like John or JPRE group at, or 2014 or something like that at yahoo.com. Like, I don't even remember it. It's hard for people to remember that. And I had an hour-long conversation with him about it. And so he immediately he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go change that. And we were trying to look for domains and figure that out. But if somebody has to type in a weird email address that has a number in it, or even Yahoo or at live.com or at Gmail, change it up, because you want to get that in line, especially if you're a serious business wanting to grow and scale and attract more customers. You want to make sure that you have that domain lined up with your email address and vice versa. So you don't want to have, colormedia.com and then josh@gmail.com, or, something simple like that. You want to make sure that they line up, because ultimately it brings more attention to your website, which is where you want people to go, or vice versa, you want people to email you. So make sure that your email is easy to type in. So no numbers. Do not put numbers in your email address. Just please don't do it, especially if it's a year. Like, just don't do it. Like, the year is going to expire in 1 year, and then now what? Like, so for instance, one company I worked for before, one of the guys was setting up his email address to go buy and sell houses in Ohio, and he set it up as Ohio Cash Deals 2015 at gmail.com. And I went to him and I was like, well, what happens in 2016? So, you get what I'm saying? So these are things that you'd have to think about, and make sure the words are flowy. So for instance, I talked to John, and when I was talking to John, his company name is JP Real Estate Group, which is good, but to type that fully into an email, plus the domain was already taken, it's a little bit awkward. So for him, it's JPRE Group, which can be a little bit of a weird thing, because you have to remember the order of the letters. And so make sure that you get something that's flowy. So colormedia.com, and my good friend Kevin, Sage Media, I believe his is .co or .media or whatever. So make sure that you get words that are flowing. This is something to think about even before you establish a brand. So if you've already established a brand, you might want to switch things up a little bit, which you can do in a domain, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But if you haven't started a business, or you haven't established your brand, or you're thinking about rebranding, these are things to think about. Get something that's going to be flowy, something that's going to be easy to remember, something that's going to be easy for somebody to type into Facebook or type into their Google platform to go search for your website. So those are three big things to make sure. So let's head over to Namecheap, because I'm actually going to show you some little tips that I have showed a couple people of finding a good thing. So just recently, I actually just bought color.media. So that's a top level domain that is out there. So .media. So a top level domain is basically .com, .net, .org, all that stuff. And nowadays it's kind of been open to the public, where there are so many top level domains that you can get. I just saw one I was gonna shoot it over to my buddy Josh Belk, who's an accountant, and he deals a lot with taxes. And so I found Belk at belk.tax. So it's literally .tax, and then the government's got .gov and that kind of thing. So be creative with it and look for that thing, because if you can tell somebody, hey, just go to my website, color.media, that's done. Like, you don't even have to type in .com. So do that. Like, figure that out and think about it a little bit. So for instance, with John, I believe we found something like JPRE opportunities or houses or something like that, I believe. So get a little creative with that, because when you can shoot that to people, they think, oh, that's top notch. That's like first class. So let me go over that website and find it. And ultimately it redirects. So color.media redirects to colormedia.com. And if you have a web developer, you could do that. Or if you build yours out with Squarespace or Wix or, on Carrot sites or whatever, you can make that redirect happen pretty easily. They make that easy to happen. So let's head over to Namecheap, because I'm going to show you something real quick. So get this weird little unicorn out of the way here. So let's just type in Color Media, right? So Color Media. So you're just going to type in whatever your brand name is or whatever you want it to be and hit enter. So it's going to come here, and what you're going to see is you're just going to see a long list of top level domains that you can associate with. So IS, I believe, is Iceland, which is weird they suggest that to me. So colormedia.is, and then it gives you the pricing of this. Now, a lot of times what people have done and made a business out of is they'll buy popular domains, sit on them, and then list them for sale on Namecheap. So that's why you see here that, $68, because somebody probably purchased colormedia.ai and is sitting on it. And then you'll see some that are like thousands of dollars and whatnot. And hey, if it's worth it to you, if you're going to grow a business, then you got to have it. So obviously the first thing that I want to say is .com is a must. If you can get a hold of .com, get it. So colormedia.com, I have it, I acquired it. Make sure you get it. The next one I would say is .net. That's important to have as well. And then from there, you just build out different ones and get a little creative with it. So I actually have 4 domains with Color Media. So if you scroll down here, you just see an insane amount of things. So colormedia.life, .group, .solutions. I mean, there's a ton of it. Colormedia.app. So if I ever come out with the app for Color Media, I don't know what I would do, but I could figure it out, right? I'm creative. Then you can purchase that stuff. So then if you go down here and explore 400 plus, what it's going to do is give you this list of filters that is actually pretty cool. So it's divided up into different categories of what you can search. So for instance, let's do, let me see here. What was one that I was actually looking at? There was a real estate one I thought somewhere in here. Oh, real estate. There we go. So I'm going to click on real estate just because I deal with a lot of real estate investors. So colormedia.com, .apartments, .condo, .estate, .for sale. So like these are, if you're a real estate investor, these are things you got to think about. Like, colormedia.rent. So if I own a property management company, I am dead sure going to get that. So colormedia.rent, who cares if it's $52? If that means that's going to bring in a couple more tenants, hey, it's worth it to me. So these are things you got to think about. So .realty, .properties, .land, .house, .for sale. I mean, these are huge domains that you could get. And honestly, I would buy up as many of them as you can, because if that means bringing in, like if you spend $500 on all of these domains and people find your website by typing that in, then one lead could pay for that. So these are things to think about. This is huge for me. So you're just, all you're going to do is purchase it, add to cart and then purchase it, and then whatever you have. So if you have a G Suite, then it'll give you instructions on how to redirect this email or this domain to your email address. So then it becomes josh@colormedia.estate or josh@colormedia.condos, that kind of thing. So it's actually pretty easy to do. And if you guys need help with this, shoot me an email, like josh@colormedia.com. Shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help you with this for no extra charge or whatever, and give you some direction. So these are other things that you can check out. So business, so you could do colormedia.works, .biz, .associates, .business. I mean, there's a ton of these, and then personal is colormedia.blog. So when I am doing a blog, I should think about doing a colormedia.blog or joshcolor.blog, because I have joshcolor.com. So those are some things. So let's revert back to me. Let's get the camera on me again. So that's the next thing to think about, is that if you do have a company brand, then definitely get all these domains. But if you are wanting to be an influencer like myself or my good friend Avi Golhar, who I do content for, then you got to get your name domain. And I know that there are common names out there, so I understand, I get it, but try to. So I got joshcolor.com. For my wife Gabby, I got gabbycolor.com. And these are just things that, if you want to email me personally, if it's not business related, I say email me josh@joshcolor.com. And it's easy to do. And so when people go look for you, it'll be easy for them to find, because you just say type in my name.com. So there you go. So the last thing that I got here for this is keep your social media platforms, your tags for your platforms simple and easy to remember. So for me, all you have to do is go to facebook.com/colormedia. There it is. Same thing for Twitter, same thing for Instagram, YouTube, and frankly, it's the same thing for podcasts. You want to do that. I don't have a podcast right now for Color Media, but you want to keep your names very simple and align them together. So don't have like Facebook is facebook.com and your user handle is Color Media, and then Instagram is Try Color Media, and then Twitter is Go Color Media _. Like you get what I'm saying? So keep them as simple as possible and clear across. Now for me, Instagram was taken up for my personal brand, so at Josh Color was taken up. So what did I do? I did Josh K Color. So I added in the K because that's my middle name. So that's okay to do because it's still easy to remember, Josh K Color. And frankly, somebody's going to search for you. They're going to find you anyway, but keeping your handles in line is going to make it extremely easy for people to find you. So just try to establish something. If you have to add a word like try or go, I know my good friends over at Go Media, there is this trygomedia.com, which is their website, and it's the same thing for their social media handles because Go Media was already taken, right? So you got to be a little creative with it, but still keep it as simple as you possibly can and make sure to keep them all in line. So the last point I got here, and I'm going to close it down, is keeping your branding in line. So I'm not going to go deep into this because I believe it was the first episode I did for Content Tip of the Week was branding your content. So this is just extremely important because you want to keep it consistent. So use your logo correctly. So make sure that your logo is placed properly and people can see it on your content, on your website and everything, and even in your email signature, make sure you have your logo there. And then keep colors and fonts consistent. That's important to do because you don't want to have like a hex code that's like your FA9101 and then you have an FA 801 or something like you don't want to keep those even the slightest bit off because you want to keep it consistent across platforms. So make sure you're using the exact same colors according to your brand and the font, and then keep your content branded. Like I said, the first episode I did, go watch it if you haven't seen it. Keeping your content branded is important because it's going to make people find you a lot easier when they search Google and they see your logo there, or they search the Facebook and they see your logo as a profile photo and they're like, oh, I recognize that. That's it. I don't even have to look any further. That's it. Because nowadays, because of how many businesses are established every single day, there's bound to be somebody out there that has the same business name as you, unless you're using your name like me or Gary Vaynerchuk as VaynerMedia. That's important to understand. So one side note before I let you go is with Gary Vaynerchuk, his name is hard to spell, right? And it's a long name. So I appreciate what he does on social where his tag is at Gary V, V-E-E. It's easy to remember and it makes it simple for people to find him. So he keeps that consistent across the platforms. That's important to understand. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully that brought you some value, and hopefully that wasn't drinking like from a fire hose. These are just things you got to think about when it comes to wanting to grow your business and bring potential customers your way. Because like I said, the biggest fear for me is having potential customers that I don't even know about and they try to find me and they can't find me, or they email me and type my name in wrong or whatever. So think about that. And make sure you reach out to me if you have any questions. Josh@colormedia.com. Color spelled C-U-L-L-E-R. Hit me up if you have any questions and I'd be more than happy to help you. So that's going to do it for today's Content Tip of the Week. Thank you for joining in this week, and I'll see you guys next Monday.